The Chargers are looking to pull off the big upset on Sunday Night Football against the Baltimore Ravens, and it feels like Keenan Allen has to have a big game to get it done.
You are Locked On Chargers, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Chargers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, and welcome into the Locked On Chargers podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wade, joined as always by my co-host, David Drogemeyer, and we've been covering the Chargers together now for 8 seasons, but this is our 6th year as the host of the Locked On Chargers podcast, bringing you your team every day. Thank you guys, as always, for making us your first listen today, and to make sure you never miss the show, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel, and listen wherever you get your podcast from. David, what do we got today?
The Chargers take on the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football, and this is going to be a very difficult game. On offense, the Chargers have to get their superstar wide receiver Keenan Allen the ball early and often in this one. And on defense, they have to harass Lamar Jackson all night long.
Yeah, at a bare minimum. But today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. David, we've talked a lot about how the Chargers basically have to have Justin Herbert playing at an elite level to win, and especially in a game of this magnitude where they're going up against a team that's blown out some good teams in the NFL. It feels like that is a given always, but more and more as this season keeps going, it feels like it's the same kind of for Keenan Allen, right? Like, it feels like if Keenan Allen has a down game, the Chargers are going to have a down game offensively, and I think it makes sense that, yes, I mean, it's hard to imagine they win without a big game from him, and I feel like he has a chance to do it, and he's done it the last couple of weeks.
He sure has. Despite a few drops, I mean, Keenan Allen's numbers are spectacular. The last 2 games, 21 receptions, 291 yards, and 3 touchdowns for Keenan Allen. He has been uncoverable. I mean, and the Chargers have done a great job of moving him around the formation, trying to find where's Keenan, which is the best way to be able to help him be effective. Keenan Allen is so good at finding the soft spots in the zone and be able to occupy that space and present a good target for his quarterback. And Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen have been on some kind of a roll this year. That connection has been very real. And for the Chargers to have success in this football game, they're going to have to get a huge contribution from their superstar wide receiver, Keenan Allen.
It also goes great with one of my keys, which is catch the damn ball. 6+ drops last week, and I put plus because there was a couple in there that didn't probably count officially as drops, but still need to get caught anyways.
Oh, yeah.
No sun on Sunday Night Football. Yeah. No excuses there. And, like, I think in a game of this magnitude, too, it's like a couple of drops can turn this game from a close game to a blowout if you're not careful. Ask the Seahawks, ask the Lions, right, who both got blown out by this Ravens team. And I feel like, Keenan's not dropping those balls this week. I'm not worried about that. And it also just feels like if Quentin Johnston has a big drop early, how does that really kind of play into how he plays the rest of the game, right? Like, I think he needs a couple easy ones, which also takes me to my other key, which is just use your strengths of your receivers, right? Use what your receivers do well and actually tailor their game plan for that, right? Because you like to think that happens, but it feels like more than not it hasn't, especially with Quentin Johnston, where you see him running a ton of vertical routes, getting back shoulder throws and things like that, which is just not really his game, right? And we talked about on the buy or sell this week, having to feed him and getting him involved, especially in this game and just for the rest of the season to kind of help him work out the kinks of his game, which obviously we've seen, but use motions to get Keenan a running start, line him up in the backfield if you have to, find ways to get Keenan now in good matchups in this game, use the double moves that he does so well, especially because so many people think he's going to the sticks, use Quentin Johnston out of the slot, get him that free release, right, give him the drag routes, give him some screen passes, less vertical routes I'd like to see for him, and if it's Jalen Guyton, send him deep, right, like I feel like we know what these guys do well, use them accordingly.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, and my one of my keys is get the ball to QJ quickly, and that's in 2 senses. Early in the game, because you want to get his confidence up. I feel like getting him a couple of catches and getting him comfortable, kind of washing away what happened last week when obviously that's a really tough position for a rookie to be in. Yeah, he's a first-round pick, but there's nobody else that wanted to make that catch for his team than Quentin Johnston.
Now's where you make up for it.
Now's where you make up for it.
Yeah, it sucks.
Absolutely.
I felt bad for him, but you're an NFL receiver. That was one of the worst drops you're going to see. Now's a chance to atone. Let's see it.
That's right. And so I feel like the offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, needs to help him out, get him the ball early in this football game, and also set it up to where you can get him early or quick off the line of scrimmage. Get the ball in his hands quickly. Manufacture those touches where you got blockers in front, where you can set up those runways like Dan said. That's the best way to use Quentin Johnston. And I feel like if you do that, that'll take some pressure off of Keenan Allen because obviously everybody knows that Keenan Allen's the man to stop. So if Quentin Johnston's out there making some plays, getting some yards after catch, then that can take some of that pressure off of Keenan.
Yeah, and that's why I want to see them get the screen game going. It's easily the most effective way they've been able to use Austin Eckler recently.
No doubt.
You have the benefit of, slowing down the Ravens pass rush. The Ravens lead the NFL in sacks so far this season.
Yeah.
Obviously, a key is the offensive line playing well. They've played better over the last couple of weeks. They need to have a great game, but to help them out, use the screen game, get Austin Eckler involved in the screen game, get Quentin Johnston involved in the screen game. And the other thing I like about that, set up plays for later, right? Use the screen game so you can bust out that fake screen, the little pump fake and go that we've seen work for them a few times, right? Set it up early, slow down the pass rush, and set up some shots from later on.
Yeah, I mean, I love that as well. And just to, kind of piggyback off of that is mix up the snap counts and move the line of scrimmage. I think those are a couple of things going up against the pass rush that is ferocious. One of the best ones in the NFL. I feel like disrupting their timing, not letting them kind of get a jump on the snap count, and also utilizing the athleticism of your quarterback. He showed last week he can run with the football, 73 rushing yards. So if there's some opportunities to run, Justin, definitely go take it off, man. Go be the superstar that you are. Take over this football game. If you see those opportunities, your legs are real weapons. You definitely should use them, but they should also scheme that into use as well. Moving the pocket, being able to have Justin throw on the run, give him some kind of easier looks so he can make some good, some easy completions so they can keep the chains moving. They have to keep possession and score points in this football game. Scheme ways to use your quarterback's athleticism.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care about time of possession, just score points. No matter how you can get it, just do it. But
do it.
It's interesting because I like the reason you're saying that, especially with Justin Herbert and his legs, because they're going up against a very talented pass defense, right? A pass defense that allows less than 5 yards per pass attempt to quarterbacks. That's what we're talking about. So he's going to need to create, and he's going to need to hold the ball probably longer than he hopes he will, But that's why I also have this as a key is use Justin Herbert's legs to spark the running game because the Baltimore Ravens are a much better pass defense than they are a run defense. 21st in yards per carry allowed, right? They give up some rushing yards. They're willing to do that. But to me, we've seen them go up against other bad run defenses, and it still hasn't worked, right? So that's why I'm saying in this game, let Justin Herbert keep a read option early, right? Run the read option, have him pull one, and even if it doesn't go for a big game, that's in their heads now. You want to slow down these pass rushers, right? They have to make that read if you're running read option kind of plays. And if you have them keep one early, not only are you kind of freezing that defensive end, but it's also going to open up the RPOs, right? Where it's a fake handoff. You get the pass to Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert to Keenan Allen RPO. That could be something that works well for them in this game too. And I think it's mostly just about getting them off balance, giving them something to think about, right? Opens up the RPOs. We haven't seen Justin Herbert really keep any of those read options, so I don't think they'll see it coming necessarily. And it's against a team that's allowed 84 rushing yards to quarterbacks over the past 2 games.
There you go. And, I mean, Justin Herbert, like I said, has real legitimate wheels, and he can definitely do that. And I feel like if he does keep a couple of those keepers, then, you're keeping that defense honest, and then you can really kind of play off of that and, set up some play action shots off of, those plays that have, had some success in the past. So I feel like the Chargers have to be clean as well, just to kind of wrap this thing up. You cannot turn the football over against this football team. You have to be clean. You can't make mistakes, no penalties. You have to play clean football on the offensive side to have any chance against one of the better teams in the NFL. I mean, there's a stigma out there that you can't beat the good teams. In order to beat the good teams, you got to play flawless football.
Yeah, and I think, it goes both ways, right? Because not only do I think the Chargers need to take care of the football, you can't set that offense up that doesn't need your help up for better chances. You also need to get some takeaways too, because if you're going to win and you're going to pull off an upset and you're going to do what you haven't been able to do and beat good teams, that's going to be a huge part of it. You couldn't do it against Jordan Love, right? Couldn't do it against the Lions. They're going to need it this week if they want to pull off this upset. And I think it starts with harassing Lamar Jackson. So we're going to get into how they can do that coming up right after this. First, though, I do need to tell you guys to score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins, and you can also go through, pick the team that's the biggest favorite this week, and as long as that team wins straight up, you can win $150 in bonus bets. The Chargers are opening up as only 4-point underdogs this week against the Ravens. That line's moving as we speak, I'm sure, but I also love going with all the other great things that FanDuel has. I love going with anytime touchdown scores, and Austin Eckler is almost automatic. You can get him at -170. But if you're looking for a little bit longer odds, a little bit more winnings, you go with Justin Herbert using his legs to get into the end zone himself at +280. Bet 100, win 280, or Donald Parham, who we know is a red zone monster. He's +310 to get into the end zone of this game. There's so many fun ways and same game parlays that you can do at FanDuel. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season in style. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. David, let's get into our keys for success for the Chargers defense, which a little bit harder, I think, for me looking at the defensive side of things, just because the Chargers defense has been so inconsistent. But what they do get is a banged up Ravens offense that they're going up against, right? Like every receiving option is either out for this game for the Ravens or dealing with something. Like Odell Beckham has a shoulder, right? Mark Andrews is now out, should be back at some point this season, but he's no chance he's playing in this game. Zay Flowers didn't practice on Thursday with a hip injury. You also have, pretty much every single one of those guys is dealing with something. Rashad Bateman's dealing with something as well. That's like their top 4 receiving options are all banged up.
Yeah.
Which is why, for me, I think the Chargers need more out of their secondary, but I think they're going to need first help up front to help out their secondary in trying to, harass Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, it's imperative in this game. And if you look at the 3 losses that the Ravens have had this year, there's one common theme, and that common theme is that they have given up 3+ sacks in every single one of those losses. So if the Chargers want any chance of winning this football game, they need to get Lamar Jackson on the ground, and they need to do it multiple times in this football game. Because right now, honestly, if you watched Lamar Jackson the last couple of weeks, he has an ankle injury himself. He does not have near the same mobility or speed or athleticism that he had even earlier on in the year. Okay, yeah, he had a little mini bye week.
Yeah. He stayed in the game, and they had a designed rush for him, the next play after he hurt his ankle. So
which was very strange to me. But also, you saw him stop in the middle of the open field because he really couldn't go any further. So also, what I've noticed is he keeps his eyes down the football field a lot more. He's, I think, a lot more of a pocket passer than he used to be in years past. So I think he has his eyes down the football field trying to throw the ball. So you need to kind of capitalize on that limited mobility that he has right now and get him on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably his limited mobility compared to like Jared Goff and Jordan Love is probably still plus. It is, but I have that as well. I mean, I think it's a big game for the edge rushers for multiple reasons, right? And I think it's going to be a big Tuli Tuipulotu game. The other reason I'm picking the edge rushers is because Khalil Mack and Tuli Tuipulotu are their 2 best run defenders, right? The edge is going to be gigantic in this, keeping Lamar inside the pocket, keeping these rushing plays inside that tackle box to be able to not have your secondary have to make as many tackles as possible, right? That's what you're trying not to do. But I think especially for the edge rushers and Lamar Jackson keeping his eyes downfield, a lot of chances for taking the football away, right? A lot of chances for tackles for loss and sacks, which in turn gets them out of their scheduled programming, right? Doesn't let them just keep running, getting into manageable third down situations. Even though the Chargers are bad on 3rd and longs, I have an answer for that later. But we all know this. When the Chargers pass rush doesn't get home, they get shredded, right?
Yeah.
So I think they need the edge rushers to be able to come up huge in the running game to try to get those tackles for loss, to set them behind, to try to force fumbles, which Lamar Jackson has 10 of them. 10 fumbles so far this year, and he's lost 6 of them, right? And that's also why I had just somebody needing to make a play in the secondary, David, because I'll tell you what, we're not seeing enough of it, right? We just don't see enough plays from the secondary. I'm going to give Alohi Gilman a pass because he had a rough game a couple games ago, but he has made the most plays as far as, forced fumbles, making a play on 4th down. He hasn't been part of the problem. You're not getting anything from your corners as far as playmaking ability, whether it be, making a tackle in the run game or being able to break a pass up or get an interception. We're not getting nearly enough of that. If the Chargers can't make plays and this secondary can't make some plays in this game, they're going to get torched.
Yeah, they absolutely have to turn the football over, and it directly results in wins and losses for the Chargers. The last 2 games, the Chargers have not had any takeaways.
Yeah.
Okay, in their 4 wins this year, the team has turned the ball over 10 times. They have generated 10 turnovers. So it is directly related to wins and losses for the Chargers.
I'll say this, just to add on top of that, David, the Ravens have turned the ball over multiple times in every game that they've lost. Two times they've turned the ball over, 3 times. In the other game, they turned it over twice. But it's taken at least 2 turnovers to beat this team in their 3 losses.
So anytime there's any opportunity to turn the ball over, the Chargers have to capitalize on that and secure the football. I mean, to your point about the fumbles, not only has Lamar Jackson fumbled 10 times, the Ravens have fumbled 18 times this season. So they love to put the football on the ground. The Chargers need to be in position to take that ball away and give it back to Justin Herbert, because the Chargers offense is going to need as many opportunities as they can possibly get. And also, the more you can get this Chargers defense off the field, the better it is for this Chargers chances of winning the football game.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course. I think for this team, it's all about how do they get off the field, right? Because that's one of the things they've struggled with a ton. And I think just the secondary is going to be so big, not just in run defense, which, they've been bad.
Yeah.
Also tackling people after the catch, right? What was that huge play you saw last week? Michael Davis not being able to tackle that dude, and it turns into a 35-yard gain. So many explosive plays that didn't have to be, right? That's the most infuriating part of it all. And just too many wide open throwing windows, right? And you can't make life easy on Lamar Jackson like you have for Jared Goff and Jordan Love and Patrick Mahomes, right? Don't make it any easier on him. And I think the way that the Chargers can help with that, blitzing Derwin James on 3rd and long. I'm tired of the 3rd and longs. I'm tired of how much time the guy has to pass on 3rd and long. I want to see Derwin James playing linebacker on 3rd and long, right? I want him in there, and not just in there, coming at him, right? And it doesn't even just have to be Derwin James. One of the things that infuriates me for the Chargers, it feels like they never do overload blitzes, right? It feels like whenever they blitz, they just send Kenneth Murray into the A-gap, right? Sometimes you'll see a slot come out of the corner or off the edge. Sometimes you'll see Derwin come off the edge, but too many times it's not that, right? I don't care if they know it's coming. Good. Tell them they have to get rid of the ball quickly, and they're not going to be able to stand back there and either let somebody have to grab on for someone else, right? Or enough time for those receivers to have those routes develop down the field. To me, the Chargers are just giving way too much time. The pass rush has to get home, obviously, but I'm not taking that chance. I'm sending Derwin James, especially against an athletic quarterback like Lamar. Make him get it out quickly. Get Eric Kendricks off the field, or even Kenneth Murray on passing downs. Having both of them out there is terrible, right?
Yeah.
And I just think that I'm tired of sitting back. Go get them.
Well, let's play simple math, Daniel. Let's play simple math. Send more people than they can possibly block. Okay?
Sure.
It's not really that difficult. We don't need to play rocket science here. Let's just.
Now you're talking about, that's a little different. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Because that means you have to send 6 people, right? The Chargers are usually rushing 4. If you're sending Derwin, that means you're sending 5. Sending 6 leaves you 5 back there. And the thing is you do have to take some risks like that sometimes.
That's what I'm saying. Take some chances.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that, at a certain point, you're giving up the big plays anyways. Right? You're giving up the explosive plays anyways. If you're going to do that, at least be so aggressive that it's going to pay off for you some of the time, right? You know what I mean? If guys are getting burnt anyways, why not just speed them up, be able to, force the ball out quickly and rally and tackle like a lot of teams do on 3rd and 20, and just less chances for your DBs to grab onto someone or interfere with the ball down the field. It's just, it's getting infuriating to watch these 3rd and long situations, David, where it's every team gets off the field there except for the Chargers. I'm done taking chances. Send Derwin James, have him hunt down, Lamar Jackson, and I think you're going to have a lot more success. Derwin James, I wish would just play more linebacker, generally speaking. Just if you're in obvious passing situations, why not have him out there, right?
Yeah. He's a freak of nature.
The best covering linebacker you're going to find, right? You're going to be able to match him up with whoever you want out there. And I just think it gives you so many more options instead of having both Kenneth Murray and Eric Kendricks out there who just have not had nearly enough plays in coverage. You want to put Deion Henley out there? Cool. I'm good with that too. Try something different because those guys just aren't making enough plays and teams are targeting them every single game, week in and week out. and they're getting torched. And that's just kind of the bottom line of it. But we do have more to get into, including will either of us pick the Chargers to win this game? They're not huge underdogs. It's going to take a lot. Can they beat their first good team of the season? We're going to talk about that and get into our bold and our game predictions coming up right after this. I do want to tell you guys, though, if you're trying to go to this game, that is still a possibility. If you live near the Chargers, you can get tickets to this game with Game Time, and buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful, and Game Time is the fast and easiest way to buy the tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. And I can promise you guys you're going to get the best deal because the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find the same tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Right now, for Sunday Night Football, I already checked, you can get tickets as low as $34 to go experience primetime football at SoFi Stadium, which is awesome. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, David, well, it's time to put our money where our mouths are because this is going to be a tough one to predict for the Chargers. Obviously, it's going to be a tough game against the Ravens on Sunday Night Football. I'm not crazy looking forward to it because it feels like so many things can happen. But the truth of the matter is the Chargers could do something that has us all talking in a surprise way on Monday by being able to figure it out. And make sure you guys are here because it is your team every day. We will be here for you guys after the game, post-game show live more than likely on Sunday night. It's going to be a big one. Hopefully, we're talking about a victory show. But I also need to tell you guys that Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts, plus Locked On's national shows covering every league. So make sure you guys check that out on Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Time to get bold, David. I mean, we've had a couple, past 3 games. We've had a few of these pop and come true. Let's look at the offensive side of things first. The Chargers are going up against one of the best defenses in the NFL. That's why all the keys are about, keeping them off balance, giving them something new to look at, building in wrinkles that you can expose later on down the road in the game, right? It's going to be tough, though, man. So when you're looking at the offense here, where are you going with your bold prediction?
Yeah, so my bold prediction here is going to be centered around Keenan Allen, and this is not going to be an easy test for him because the Ravens have the 3rd ranked pass defense in the NFL. They have only allowed 13 offensive touchdowns, and they have only allowed 2 100-yard receivers all season long. That was George Pickens, who went 6 for 130 and a touchdown, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, who went 13 for 102. Keenan Allen is going to be the 3rd, okay? Keenan Allen is going to go 12 catches, 145 yards, and a touchdown, and the Chargers absolutely need that type of performance out of the Slayer.
And I don't think it's, a big enough deal or not a big enough deal is made of just how well Kellen Moore has been able to use Keenan Allen because every team knows who's going to beat them. And over the last 2 weeks, he beat them anyways, right? And that's the great thing about Keenan Allen is like, hey, Marlon Humphrey, if he plays, any of these guys, Brandon Stevens, whoever it is, like I like Keenan Allen every time one-on-one with those.
Absolutely.
Are they going to win some? Sure. Is Keenan Allen going to win a lot? Yes. And that's just how good he is, right? And he is such a focal point of this offense, and he has to be because what else is there, right? Austin Eckler definitely banged up, has lost a step, whatever the case is. Quentin Johnston, we know, maybe Gerald Everett comes back this week, but like there is one person has to do with something, and it's going to be Keenan Allen. So hopefully he can get it done. My offensive bold prediction, it was a tough one. I'm going with Justin Herbert, who has played, one of the better 2-game stretches of his career, and they're 0-2.
He's played out of his mind.
He's been absolutely nuts over the last couple of weeks against the Lions and the Packers last week. I'm going 300 passing yards against a pass defense, as you just said, that allows about 160 passing yards per game against, let's be honest, not the biggest gauntlet of quarterbacks, right? Like they haven't played anyone. A beat-up Joe Burrow is not going to do it, right? They got to play that twice so far this season. Those other guys, right? Even C.J. Stroud's probably the best quarterback they played outside of that, and that was his first ever rookie game, right? So, like, that's a little different. Definitely. They haven't seen this version of Justin Herbert, right? So I think I have him going 300 passing yards, but the bold part is 2 rushing touchdowns. So I know you guys heard that plus 280 on the Justin Herbert anytime touchdown. I'm going 2 rushing touchdowns for Justin Herbert in this one. Let's flip things over to the defensive side of things here, David. Who are you going with defensively this week to have a big game?
Yeah, so defensively, I have more of a team bold prediction on this one.
It's going to be tough for this defense. So
it is. Yeah, it is. And honestly, I just wanted to kind of get away from all the same usual characters that I use for my defensive bold prediction. So we talked about earlier how the Ravens like to put the ball on the ground, okay? So I think the Chargers are going to encourage that in this football game. I have the Chargers defense forcing 3 fumbles in this game, and I have them recovering 2 of them.
And that would be huge, man. Like, one thing I didn't say earlier is just like, you were talking about the turnovers. I meant to get back to it. You win games like this by getting a defensive score or having something like that, right?
Yes.
When you're going up against maybe arguably the best defense in the league, you need some good things to happen for you in that sense, and you need your defense to set up some offense. So this week, I'm going with someone who has been underachieving, and that's what makes it bold to come through this week. I have Asante Samuel Jr. with 2 interceptions against Lamar Jackson. I think he threw 2 picks the last time the Chargers played. The Chargers played the Ravens, and that was a blowout too. I think Kazir White may have had both of those picks. I think it was a weird game, but
yeah,
he only has 2 interceptions this season, and I think he has to make up for the other limitations in his game, to be honest, right? Like, this is a bold prediction, but it's also hey, the Chargers need more, man. Like, it's one thing to not be able to tackle. It's one thing to, not be able to be in the right spots and run defense. If you're bringing other things to the table,
the spectacular.
Like if you're Asante Samuel Jr., like, you can, Marcus Peters had the career he did, not because he was good at any of those things I said Asante struggled with, right? And they're both really small corners.
Yeah.
It was because he took the ball away.
That's
and
right.
he would get 4 or 5 picks every season, right? Asante, I know it's going to be a limited, right, game that he has, but like, you got to have some good things on the other side of that. We've seen a couple pass breakups, but overall, not good enough. I need a couple of picks from Asante this week to really, really help the Chargers out in this one. To give him a chance, David, because it's going to be tough. I'll go first here because, if there's anyone that's more likely to pick them to win, it's going to be you. That kind of tells you how I feel about this one. Man, it's hard. I don't trust the Chargers defense after what the Lions and the Packers have done to them, just to name a couple of teams, right?
That's fair.
And the Chargers offense, this is such a tough matchup for them. Like, the Ravens are not a good matchup for the Chargers. The Ravens have a really, really good defense and a really good offense.
Yeah.
The Chargers have a good offense.
Yeah.
That's it, right? Like, and I'm glad at least the offense is clicking now a little bit more to where, last week should have easily been a 30-plus point game with all the drops. Week before that, you put up 38. I think the Chargers will be able to find some points here. I just don't think it's going to be enough. I have the Chargers 24, Ravens 34 in this one. That's just how much I don't trust the defense. What do you have?
Yeah, so, hey, the Chargers can't get off the field on 3rd down. The Chargers are giving up the 3rd most explosive plays in the league. And, they haven't been able to prove
all the things.
Yeah, they haven't been able to prove that they've been able to beat a good team. So it's just really hard for me to believe that the Chargers are going to be able to beat the Ravens on Sunday night. So I have the Chargers losing this game, but I do have them keeping the Ravens under 30 points for the first time in 6 games. I have it 28-24 because this is the type of thing. This is the type of thing that the Chargers do, and I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if they win this game when they really have no business in winning. But I can't, in good faith, pick them to win. So I have them losing 28-24.
It used to be their thing, right? It used to be when everyone kind of wrote them off. Even in 2021, when they had a win against the Chiefs, had a win against the Bengals under Brandon Staley.
Yeah,
they were the team that when you wrote them off and they were big underdogs, they were going to find a way to win some of those, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like they've just gotten away from that identity where they forget that they can win some of these big games to the fact, to the point of them not being able to win any big games since the start of 2022 outside of one Dolphins game where it's, it's not like you beat one of the juggernauts of the NFL, or at least they weren't at the time.
Yeah.
Man, they can win this game. And that's the crazy thing. We were going to do that on buy or sell this week. Buy or sell, the Chargers can win this game, and both of us were buying it.
Yeah.
They can.
They can.
We just have no faith that they will. Go out there and do it. Prove to your fan base there's something else to keep watching for, man. Like, because it's like, buy them back in. Because right now it's real low. You go to 4-7, it's even lower. Yeah. Find a way to win this big game right now. Find a way to pull off the upset that no one sees coming. Everyone's challenging you to do it. Go do it, right? Prove us wrong, because that's what we all want to see. But hopefully we're here Sunday night with the post-game show live. Hopefully we'll see what time this game ends, obviously. But with a victory show, because, man, that would be such a sweet show to get to do, bro.
Man, that'd be beautiful.
It would be awesome. So to make sure you don't miss that potential show, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from. You can also find the show every day on all of our social media. You can find us on Twitter at Locked On LAC, on our Instagram at Locked On Chargers, and our Locked On Chargers Facebook page. You can find me on Twitter at Dan Talk Sports and Dave Drogemeyer at DroTalk SD. But let's see if they can do it, guys. No matter what, we will be here for you afterwards, right? Either to vent or to celebrate. But until then, guys, take it easy and go Bolts.